Hello and welcome to the Sports Leadership Playbook podcast. My name is Dr. Robert Pryor, and thank you for joining us today. I'm happy to welcome a 2012 Sports Leadership graduate, Ryan Carroll. He's the Director of Business Development for the San Francisco Giants in Major League Baseball. So, Ryan, thanks for dialing in from the West Coast, and really happy to have you on board.
Yeah, happy to be here. Thanks, Bob.
Excellent. All right, so we were just reminiscing a little bit before we started recording. Ryan's had a pretty interesting journey coming from the East Coast and the sports leadership program to where he is today. So could you just go back in time and tell us where you went to school, undergrad, how you ended up in our program, and then kind of that path to working for the Giants?
Yeah, of course. So I'm from San Francisco, right? So this is a great spot for me to be. Always love my San Francisco fog, my mid-weather. Can't do too much of the heat and cold, so it's a miracle I survived Boston for so many years. But no, I needed to go east. My sister went east for school as well at Boston College. I went the other direction. I went to Boston University for undergrad, and then after graduating, I was looking at obviously just entry-level jobs, and I ended up getting a job at a research facility nearby, but was looking for kind of those evening programs, which is how I stumbled upon the Northeastern program as well. And so decided it was kind of the right time to jump back in. So I kind of did that simultaneously in Boston for what was a couple of years, right? So, it worked out well. It was able to balance it with my schedule, which was great. And then also gives me kind of some of that hand-on experience. I remember one of the days we had Sam from the Red Sox speak to the class, right, which is great. And you kind of helped me out with some of the internship opportunities. It was like more like a volunteer position with their ambassador program, which was awesome. So that was super helpful and kind of gave me that first taste into baseball. And then, from there, decided I would like to come back to San Francisco, and was fortunate enough to have an opening with the Giants on a contract position, which was great. And so that contract position itself was essentially it's called the America's Cup boat races, right? So this was it's international competition, one of the oldest trophies in sports. And it was the first time it was coming to a shoreline facility. San Francisco is surrounded by three sides of water. So it was a great opportunity for the city. It was a big bid for the city, and the Giants won a contract to kind of ticket it, which was the first time that's ever been done. So it was kind of like a one-year position, right? And I kind of took the chance just to kind of see how that goes, and kind of it was cool because it was really a ground up thing, right? I kind of got to help build what was a new business model that hadn't been done before. So it was all learning on the fly, but I probably got my hands dirty a little bit more than you would in an entry level job, which is what I wanted, right? I wanted to help be a thought partner in some of those, and of course had great leadership here at the Giants and great mentors that of course had plenty of experience with ticketing, marketing, business development. So that was kind of a no brainer. But no, from there, really kind of backdoored my way into some of the Giants' other openings because I was, I loved the team. It was a great fit, and I wanted to kind of continue down that path of entrepreneurship and business development, which is kind of what led me back towards the Giants.
That's a great how things worked out, that you're able to get back home and work for your hometown team, and you're following your sister to Boston was a good decision. And,
yeah, it worked out.
And that opportunity with Sam Kennedy coming to class, and then that ambassador program with the Red Sox was probably gave you that first taste of working in sports, right? Which convinced you that's the direction I want to go. And thankfully, the sports leadership program gave you some of the competencies and the academic background that maybe you didn't have from undergrads. So that's great. Could you, explain what you typically do in business development? What is your role, and what kind of projects or things are you working on with that?
So the kind of entity I'm within is really geared towards activating the ballpark 365 days a year. And so this is something that a lot of teams will do, but they're organized in a few different ways. So the Giants have one of the only privately financed ballparks in Major League Baseball. And so as a result, right, that means this building was configured in a way that we wanted to be open every single day of the year, right? And so that means looking beyond baseball. It means looking beyond suites, ticketing, right? It means just going the extra mile and seeing how we can integrate into the city, into international programs, into private corporate programs, and really just kind of lean into that. So that's really what a lot of my time at the Giants has been focused on. I kind of started on more of a private event focus, which is essentially, we're fortunate enough to be like near Silicon Valley and some of that big tech money, right? So like it certainly doesn't hurt. The sponsorship team loves it, but on our side, right, there's a lot of opportunity there to help these groups kind of expand their footprint, take care of their investors, take care of clients. So it's could be as simple as like, hey, do you want to come out and go take some clients, go take BP on the field, right, one day when the team's out of town, right? So that's like this is something that every team does, right? They try to put these pillar programs in, or hey, do you want to host your entire employees at a holiday party? Or on the higher end, like we work with Salesforce, right, who operates an annual conference, Dreamforce. Like we host their concert after party, right, with headline talent, things like that. So that's like on the private event. But what I do now, what I kind of transition towards is focusing on our public event opportunities. So I mentioned private concerts. Obviously, public concerts are a key part of that. So, within the baseball season, the concert season's usually every summer. Obviously, when there's good weather, they don't want to back into the rain too much. So, I'll tell you, the Red Sox actually do the most concerts of any team. So I'm still chasing their tails, and I don't think I'm ever going to get there personally. I think they do like 12 or 14 a year, which is crazy to me. We end up doing about 5 or 6 between the public and private shows, but like that's real opportunity, right? So the Red Sox have Noah Khan for 5 nights. I've got him for 1 year, but I'll take it. But that's an example of just opportunities that not only help generate revenue for the bottom line, but also bring new fans. And one of our priorities at the Giants is to just attract a broader diversity of fans, right? We want to welcome new people, new families, and introduce them to baseball. I don't think it's too much of a stretch to say that baseball over the years have had a little bit of a problem when it comes to fans aging, right? And bringing in new people, right? I mean, we've been a little behind basketball and football, which is totally fair. Those are huge markets. Those are international markets, and it's tough to compete with those. But at the same time, we want to create a welcoming environment for them. And that starts with a variety of ways. It doesn't have to start with baseball, right? It can start with those concerts. We just hosted Fuerza Regida, which is a Southern California Latin artist as well, which had a totally sold out crowd. I guarantee you a lot of those people have not been in the ballpark before. And that was fantastic. So these are just cool things that we're trying to do. And like on the other end, like, of course, we're trying to do like the, Savannah Bananas and those things, or like, we've hosted soccer matches here. We've had Real Madrid here, which was very cool. We host a golf event every year. We do movie nights. So, we're always trying to think of what else we can do here at the ballpark. And, admittedly, one of my favorite parts about this job is, I'm fortunate enough to have a ballpark that you can really hang your hat on, right? We have consistently rated one of like the top 5 ballparks. If any of you have not been, please come to San Francisco. It's right on the water. It's beautiful. You've probably seen our splash hits on TV, right? Like that's just one of the coolest things you can see with all the kayakers and the sailboats out there. But it's built. It's the brick facade. It's this Willie Mays statue. Everything is just so iconic, and we're so embedded in the city that it really opens the door for a lot of these new opportunities. And of course, the Red Sox are right there, right? Fenway has the historic nature. When I was there, it was the centennial, right? They were celebrating 100 years, which is crazy to me. So it was cool to see kind of how they handled that marketing campaign. And, we just celebrated our 25th ballpark anniversary last year. So we got a ways to go. But yeah, I mean, my current role has kind of been exciting, just to try to bring new entertainment and new fans to the ballpark, and always just thinking what else we can do.
Right. Yeah, it's an exciting ballpark. I was out there for a conference back it was probably maybe 2006, 5 or 6, when the park had just opened up. And had a chance to come out. I think it was Pac Bell.
Yeah.
It was the naming rights.
Pac Bell first, exactly.
And now, what is it now?
It's now Oracle Park.
Oracle, okay. And is the Golden State Warriors arena Oracle as well?
So so that used to be Oracle in Oakland, and now it's Chase Center. So
Chase Center, okay.
And they moved. They're literally 4 blocks from us, down in the southern portion of San Francisco. So like we've kind of created our own little neighborhood, which is awesome. And and you'll see all these restaurants and bars and office space open up nearby, and it really has created a new culture in downtown San Francisco, right? In an era where a lot of these stadiums are moving away, right? It's nice that they've kind of doubled down and created these fan zones inside the city limits, which is great.
Yeah, no, and it's San Francisco's a great city to visit, and Alcatraz out there, Fisherman's Wharf. Like there's
Hmm.
just so much to see around that city. So to be able to go to a ball game while you're there is a perfect opportunity. It is interesting, 365 days a year, and more teams realize, okay, if we have 81 home dates, we need to fill those other dates. So concerts, family shows, whatever it may be. A soccer match is great. Have you done much around the World Cup with some of the matches being played in
Yeah.
Santa Clara at Levi Stadium?
Yeah, we're actually hosting some watch parties right now. It's not inside the ballpark as a whole, but we control a lot of the park space nearby. So
Hmm.
we continually host watch parties for the World Cup, or we just had the Super Bowl recently, and we hosted some of the Super Bowl's big clients. We had, NBC around here. We had Fanatics. We had Uber, right? These are big time NFL partners. So
Hmm.
we kind of helped them host some of their public opportunities and some of their concerts too. So like it's just great to
Hmm.
be a resource. So to your point, like when it comes to these large events, people often think it's just whether it's the CVB, right, which is the Convention and Visitors Bureau of San Francisco
Hmm.
Travel, and then kind of the host venue. But these really are city approaches, right? So
Hmm.
when the city is bidding on the Super Bowl, or we hosted the NBA All-Star Game, and look, at some point we're going to host another Major League Baseball All-Star Game, right? That's just how it works.
Hmm.
And these are going to need so much extra space to host partners, hospitality, and just the influx of fans that
Hmm.
it really is nice to kind of work together on these. So I mentioned NBA too. We worked with the NBA directly when they were at Chase Center last year, and we hosted their post game concerts and like it was TNT last year that they called it the TNT Road Show with like
Hmm.
Shaq and Kenny and all these guys on the little TV studio set. So like
Hmm.
we had them in one of our areas across from the ballpark. We had the Dan Patrick Show for the Super Bowl as well,
Hmm.
just like with the ballpark
Hmm.
behind them, set up in our park spaces. So again, these are just cool things to keep us top of mind and just show
Right.
our interconnectivity with the other sports teams.
Is there any planning going on for the Olympics in 2028? Is any of that going to kind of filter up toward Northern California as
It's
well?
yeah, it's something that we've been involved with from a Visit California perspective, just to see kind of where the opportunities are. All those will be in Los Angeles, right? So they won't make their way up here. I expect we will do some fan entertainment, like when we did especially if we have any of the local Olympians. So we're fortunate enough we had recently Alyssa Liu, the ice skater, is from Oakland, right? So
Hmm.
we claim her in the city as well. But it's nice to have those athletes nearby, and we'll do some fan engagement around them for sure, during the season, whether it's throwing out the first
Hmm.
pitch or something else. So yeah, you can kind of count on us to for sure activate in some capacity around any marquee
Hmm.
event like that.
Right. Is there interaction between the professional teams in that market? There's so many with the 49ers and the Warriors, and then in San Jose, you've got the Sharks, and then you've also got the MLS team. So how do you look at all those calendars, or do you do some planning with them just to kind of make sure that you're not overlapping a whole lot?
Yeah, we do to some extent, right? Like the nice thing is we are close to each of these teams where each department has their own kind of department liaisons, right? It's like I have my people I go to at the Warriors, at the 49ers, at the Sharks, right? Who are like more on the event side and the scheduling side. And then of course the baseball team and the operations teams have their own liaisons to those teams. So, it really is it's a good delineation on just kind of how we go about communicating with those. From a scheduling standpoint on the like large event side, for sure, right? So like we're aware of Chase Center's concert schedule, we're aware of when there's like a 5K race that they do every year that runs around our ballpark, right? And it's great. So
Uh-huh.
like we want to support that. So for sure there's some level of communication. Obviously on the league level from a game perspective, a little bit less, right? That just kind of is what it is. And
Right.
we'll work around it. It doesn't matter if there's
Hmm.
we have a night game at the same time as Chase Center or something like that, which is again our schedules don't overlap too much, but there is for sure some overlap, especially when it gets into playoffs. But like
Hmm.
it's a great problem to have.
Right. And like you said, being in Silicon Valley, you've just got so many tech companies that are within arm's reach that you can work with, partner with on different events, which is great. And I know the Giants in general were one of the first teams to really embrace technology, right? Going back to, I think, even ticketing, they might have been one of the first teams to go to electronic ticketing. So how have the Giants kind of embraced technology and utilized some of that to be on the cutting edge of all the things that they've done around
Yeah.
baseball?
Yeah, for sure. No, the Giants were the first baseball team to adopt the dynamic pricing model, right, which is now standard, right, for any
Hmm.
sports, right? So again, a ticket against the Yankees here is going to cost a little bit more than a ticket against the Colorado Rockies. No offense to all the Rockies fans out there, but that's just the nature of the business. But no,
Hmm.
but between that and we have a full division of technology of just looking at what else we can do, right? Like we just recently installed a variety of cameras around the field that can like are analyzing player swings and creating these new models. Like these are not angles you're going to see on MLB replay, right? This is for like things that we can pop up to help train our players, right? To help embrace technology and be a tool on the baseball side. We host camps every year for our new drafted players, of course. A lot of our training, I should specify, is down in Arizona, right? So that's where the Giants spring training facility is. They have a brand
Hmm.
new training facility there that operates year round. So like that's where a lot of our in-depth analysis is just from a player perspective. Obviously, once
Hmm.
the team gets to San Francisco, it's a little bit more just go time.
Right.
But yeah, but like we welcome all of our draft picks every year at a full week long camp at San Francisco, and we kind of teach them kind of how I say we, it's not me, but like the collective we,
Hmm.
how we embrace technology, how they train our bodies, the nutritionist comes out, the weight and training camps come out, right? So it really is a full embrace. And then on the fan entertainment side, obviously that is also where we embrace technology, right? So we have what was once, one of the biggest scoreboards in baseball. Of course, now every team year over year tries to like top that. So we're a little bit further down, but it's still fantastic. And a year ago, we just installed new color changing floodlights all around the upper rim of the ballpark that can be embraced for our events. And like, I mean, you've seen some of these, right? When a closer comes into the game and the full like lights go out and the rotation things, right? These are super cool for the fans. And so we're just trying to see how else we can do that. We've, of course, with the influx of AI groups in San Francisco and Bay Area, we've treaded carefully on kind of our partnerships angle and how we go about that. But no doubt that will bring a variety of opportunities to the team as well.
Hmm. Yeah. It's. I mean, the West Coast always seems to be on the cutting edge of everything. To see a baseball team really lead the charge in things that become kind of the standard is pretty amazing to be a part of that.
Yeah,
All
no,
right.
it's been awesome. And it's fun too, just again because of being in a city that connects with the fans and just being in a site that really embodies a lot of the culture of the city. Not even
Hmm.
just the tech side, right? But it's a place people want to be, which
Hmm.
I'm fortunate enough to kind of be piggybacking on in my day-to-day job.
Right. Is there one thing that you've been with the Giants now that's kind of been your favorite moment or favorite event or project that you've worked on that you could talk about?
Yeah, I mean there's certainly a few. I've obviously on the baseball side, memories wise, I was fortunate enough. You mentioned I left Boston in 2012 and I joined the Giants in September 2012, and then they went on their second World Series run that ended in Detroit, which was awesome. And then 2 years later, 2014, it was Game 7 in Kansas City, which was the Bumgarner game where he just came in and
Mm.
just threw lights out. So like these are of course core memories for me as a both an employee but mostly as a Giants sports fan, as a Bay Area sports fan, right? Like it's hard to top these.
Hmm.
But like in sports, you can't count on that level of success every year. So it's nice that I kind of already got a taste of that. But
Hmm.
what's going to keep me motivated day in and day out is just trying to be a pioneer on the front end of what else we can do. So you mentioned kind of cooler events that we've done. One of the more recent ones I mentioned briefly, we do our own in-house golf event, which is really fun. So you'll see some touring groups go around to these other baseball parks, but we
Hmm.
actually do ours in-house, where like our groundskeepers go out there and they're actually mowing greens into the outfields, and like we're building tee boxes in different locations. So we take it a little bit of a step further. Last year we put a little pool on second base, and we made it our splash hit challenge, right, where fans had to try to drain a chip shot into the pool, which they went crazy for. Uh, So that's just one example. We've recently partnered with Warner Brothers, which has been really exciting for me on some different movie nights. So over the past few years, we've worked with them on some of their premiere titles to try to bring that to new fans. And so last year we did it with the Superman event, with that marquee tentpole summer blockbuster film, and we had a packed field, and that's actually where we sampled our new lighting system, which
Hmm.
really kind of helped ingrain fans into the entertainment world. What else have we done? I definitely stay on the front end of any filmings that we do. So those are always fun for me, right? Seeing the behind the scenes of when a full production crew wants to come in and film a movie or a TV show or even just a commercial, right? It's always fun for me to see the back end of that. And again, the Red Sox have maybe done the most filmings over the years, which was always fun to see as well. So, those are ones that come to the top of my mind. I won't go into too much of the concerts because those are always incredible, right? Like the level of talent you see. We just started a new EDM series, right? Electronic dance music, which I am like learning fast. Not necessarily my initial cup of tea, but like,
yeah,
going crazy for these artists. And we're popping up a series in one of our warehouses right across from the ballpark that just is bringing in some of these top players in the genre. And like, it's just wild to see, people just embrace these DJs and these artists. And it's just a whole different world. So again, these are just, these aren't baseball, but these are just new things that we're kind of attaching the Giants brand to in some capacity that helps. And one thing I'll mention too, that's really a core factor of why we do this is, as a major market team, a lot of the revenue we generate, whether it's on ticket sales, on sponsor dollars, right? These do go back into revenue sharing, right? Which is, of course, the baseball collective bargaining agreement is going to be renegotiated soon. It's kind of on, the tip of our minds, right? And just going into next year on kind of how this will be. But the salary cap and the revenue sharing components are certainly going to be high on that list. But what that means is that any activities that a team does that's not directly correlated to baseball is not subject to revenue sharing, but still goes into our bottom line. So the more events we can do, the more shows we can do that aren't necessarily on a game day or aren't tied to a Giants ticket, it's just funneling more revenue we can to spend more on players, on new investments in the city, strengthen our brand and our culture. So, although we're not directly working on what's called like a baseball objective, we're obviously one team, right? The Giants are one team, and our primary goal and focus is baseball, putting a playoff team on the field, putting fans in the seats, and just creating unique experiences.
But those non-baseball events and activities, for you, it shows that you've added value beyond just what's happening on the diamond, and that's creative thinking. And for you, I guess that's great for business and great for you just to continue to grow and do good things for the Giants. So that's fantastic. We're almost at the end here, but I did want to ask one more thing.
Sure.
If you could give any piece of advice to somebody who wants to work in sports, interested in, professional sports, college athletics, what advice would you give to a student or a prospective employee to help them as they prepare to get a job in sports?
Yeah, there were a couple of things that come to mind. One is just embracing other tools at your disposal. When I first started here, I was I wanted to become proficient in, Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator and some of these other tech tools that I already knew teams were utilizing, right? And so to kind of serve and be an asset on a few different levels really comes in handy. And, it helped me build my portfolio going into the job search. And it helped me really just provide more expertise than I think even a lot of the team was counting on. Now, obviously, I don't mean to imply that people need to be professionally trained in some of these areas, but just like whether it's, embracing Canva. Canva is now what we use at the Giants as our main deck building tool, right? Just showing how to create a good deck, showing that you can take care of someone's brand and present yourself as an ambassador, which we all are, right? Anything I send to a client, it's coming from the Giants, right? So just making sure that you have that capability to do some of these things professionally, whether it's writing, whether it's design, whether it's just searching for the best photos and kind of creating a little portfolio around it. That's been an invaluable asset. So I definitely recommend everyone try to embrace some of those tools and just seeing what other teams are using at the time. The other bit of advice I would give, which is not going to be very original, but it's just being open to trying new things. So I mentioned kind of starting in that America's Cup world, right? And like I didn't know anything about that. Like I had to look up the rules. I didn't know that, but what we did know, what we learned, right, was the basic economics and business models of what these teams are trying to do, and that's what it is at the end of the day, right? It doesn't matter. Like I could be working for, a soccer team or a cricket team, which we've talked to, right? Or rugby, which we've hosted. I don't know all the rules to these sports, but, but I do know how to create a cool fan experience. And that's a lot of what this component is. So, it really comes down to just kind of being open to taking some of those next steps and just seeing where they lead you and showing enthusiasm behind those properties, those projects. New leagues are popping up all the time, new sports. I just found out San Francisco has a lacrosse team. I had no idea. But these are big things. You mentioned we just started a women's soccer team recently over the past few years. That's been great. We've had them play at the ballpark, and the women's soccer world is incredible. So, these are all new opportunities popping up, and all of them are going to be great tools just to kind of get your career started.
Right. Yeah. Great advice. Just to have an open mind, be willing to explore the unknown. And certainly you've done that. And look where it, took you, right? Just on an amazing journey to do what you love, coming to work every day. And couldn't be happier for you, Ryan. It's great that things have worked out for you. All right. Well, that is going to wrap up today's Sports Leadership Playbook podcast episode. And Dr. Robert Pryor signing off. Thank you, Ryan Carroll, for joining us. And all the best to you and the Giants in the future.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.